sometimes people who are at the head of the game, they make a mistake in employing or surrounding themselves with just probably not the best. Kim Mulkey is LSU's head basketball coach, and she's just done something which you can only explain as trying to get ahead of the game. Apparently, the Washington Post have a significant story on her coming out, and she wants to preempt it by saying,
Thinks he has gone to try and put a hit piece together. This reporter has been working on a story about me for 2 years. After 2 years of trying to get me to sit with him for an interview, he contacts LSU on Tuesday as we were getting ready for the first round game of this tournament with more than a dozen questions, demanding a response by Thursday, right before we're scheduled to tip off. Are you kidding me? This was a ridiculous deadline that LSU and I could not possibly meet, and the reporter knew it. It was just an attempt to prevent me from commenting and an attempt to distract us from this tournament. It ain't gonna work, buddy. Unfortunately, this is part of a pattern that goes back years. I told this reporter 2 years ago that I didn't appreciate the hit job he wrote on Brian Kelly. And that's why I wasn't going to do an interview with him. After that, the reporter called 2 former college coaches of mine and left multiple messages that he was with me in Baton Rouge to get them to call him back. Trying to trick these coaches into believing that I was working with the Washington Post on a story. When my former coaches spoke to him and found out that I wasn't talking with the reporter, they were just distraught. And they felt completely misled. Former players have told me that the Washington Post has contacted them and offered to let them be anonymous in a story if they'll say negative things about me. The Washington Post has called former disgruntled players to get negative quotes to include in their story. They're ignoring the 40 plus years of positive stories that people or they have heard from people about me. But you see, reporters who give a megaphone.
this is my take on it, okay? I'll let you hear the rest of it in a moment. I think it's the Streisand effect, or the Streisand syndrome, where you talk about something and a lot more eyes and attention suddenly come to it, because now what's happening, she's actually driven probably definitely the whole of the Twitter sphere, and an awful lot of other people who normally wouldn't be following the story, eyes ready, ears open, ready to click on the Washington Post story when it comes out. There are all types of rumours going around, but I come back to my initial point. In PR terms, they should never have let her go in front of the microphone beforehand, because there is an old saying, it's an old British saying, by the way, thou doth protest too much.
To get negative quotes to include in their story. They're ignoring the 40 plus years of positive stories that people or they have heard from people about me. But you see, reporters who give a megaphone to a one-sided, embellished version of things aren't trying to tell the truth. They're trying to sell newspapers and feed the click machine. This is exactly why people don't trust journalists and the media anymore. It's these kinds of sleazy tactics and hatchet jobs that people are just tired of. I'm fed up. And I'm not going to let the Washington Post attack this university, this awesome team of young women I have, or me without a fight. I've hired the best defamation law firm in the country, and I will sue the Washington Post if they publish a false story about me. Not many people are in a position to hold these kind of journalists accountable, but I am. And I'll do it. That's all I'm going to say about this right now. And now I'm going to get back to talking about my basketball team and winning this game tomorrow.
It is so easy to always attack the press, the media. It's something that the former losing president of the United States of America, One Diaper Don, does all the time. It appears to be an easy target because a lot of people perhaps do not know the inner workings of the press. When a journalist has been working on a story for 2 years, which in this specific case, 2 years, that's not a rushed story. If anything, that shows a lot of patience and meticulous attention has been given to detail. The story will be checked by lawyers. Do not think something like an organization like the Washington Post is just going to rush out a story. This is not a hit piece. This is not something somebody may have said in a podcast or a random interview. This is something they would have spent time putting it together. And having worked in newsrooms and knowing a few journalists as well, and I do, is when they have sources, these sources are checked and double checked again. And not random sources. They are never random sources. On a story that's taken 2 years to put together, and when she says there are allegations, how does she know what the allegations are going to be before they have put the story in there? When she says that they've contacted former players, that to me leads to suspicion that some ex-players may have something to say. Now, the damage limitation here is to try to sow one particular side. Here's the thing. She's had 2 years, and she says, to make a statement, say something. The journalist was not haranguing her, whatever. She probably also knows any disgruntled players. It's normal in any, especially in sports. You're not going to get on with everybody. She probably knows what the allegations actually are. So why didn't she just come straight out with it? Own the story. Instead, by saying nothing and waving that one, I'm going to sue, etc., etc., always a get out of jail card doesn't necessarily work. No, this was a bad press briefing. She got really bad advice. Yeah, she maybe should have gone as the story came out. Then she can go through everything and deny. Now she's denying something we don't know. We want to know what it is. And I can tell you one thing, one really important thing. This is a story that's going to have national prominence. It's not going to be a story that's just confined to basketball. This is a story that is going to be huge. When an establishment, again, like the Washington Post, that would have checked, lawyers would have checked everything, this is an explosive story. So all I will say is the next time she appears in front of a microphone or a camera, the narrative will be such that she is going to find herself in a very difficult position based literally at the moment on her own words. She's just said it. Never mind what the story is and the allegations and the things that are in the forthcoming Washington Post article.